is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the info war. Again, I'm asking the question, what are the greatest crimes of the globalist? A, and B, what are you doing to fight them? And then C, where do you really see the world going? Because the future destiny is being shaped to a great extent right now. It's just epic times is what I'm trying to get at here. Absolutely epic times we live in. And I hope that's not lost on people for the forest. Because there's so much stuff going on, but when you look at it in a larger context, it's just amazing. There's a lot of good things happening as well. Billy in Michigan, then Michael, D.C., Tom, Rusty, and others. Go ahead, you're on the air, Bill.
Hey, how's it going, Alex? Yeah, greatest crime would probably be the hijacking of the banking system and how it's been done since way back, how they funded both sides of wars and all that stuff. Where do I see humanity going? I'm actually quite optimistic. I think life is cyclical. It has its ups and downs. It's reaching a point where it's just going to probably just reset and go back. And what am I doing? I'm just resisting. I'm not complying. I'm definitely not advocating any type of armed resistance or revolution at this point. I think that's exactly what they want. I would encourage people. I see, especially your listeners in the comment sections, a lot of tough guys. We got to do this, we got to do that. And no, what you got to do first is not let them have your mind, your body, your soul. Once you get all that good, and all of humanity does that, you don't need an armed revolution.
That's right. If we just withdraw our consent from the system, it will fold. Great points. I mean, here's an example. They can't give in to us on removing fluoride from the water, even though the government now admits it's poison. They can't give in to us on repealing Obamacare, even though it's an admitted fraud. They can't give in to us on anything like the Second Amendment, even though it's admitted it lowers crime, because then their whole house of cards falls. You pull one or two cards out of here, it goes down. They put on this whole act of invincibility, infallibility, all this power, because what they're doing is very unnatural. The globalists admit many of their own white papers. Their problem is there's so much wealth worldwide and the manufacturing and the industry. We should be working 2 days a week and living like kings. But they want artificial scarcity, and that's what Agenda 21 is. And you ever get the message out to the mainline working class that the left wants to make them poor to control them and then show them where they set it, and that the Republicans want corporations totally above the law to do whatever they want, and you ever bring people together around a populist system of real transparency and real level playing field, it's over for the establishment. And that's what I want to do, is just unify people around common sense. Michael in North Carolina, thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate you mentioning the fluoride issue, because I think that's probably one of the greatest crimes of the New World Order, and I'll tell you why. As you know, drinking fluoride lowers the intelligence quotient of everyone who drinks it.
That's according to Harvard and the federal government and Time Magazine this week. Again, Time Magazine, actually last Friday, admits fluoride has brain damaged the country. But, again, why do you think that came out? Because you can't hide it anymore. Go ahead.
Right, and I don't think people really grasp how significant that is, because when the population's IQ has been dropped by even 5 or 10 points, how many inventions does that represent?
The literal value of the country goes down.
Right, exactly. And then the other issue is, you're talking about consciousness and our human experience. Well, water is so important to that, because on a molecular level, we're like 70 to 90% water.
I know, Mandrake. And now they put it in kids' ice cream. I mean, the fluoride.
Right, and so, you know, there's so many different crimes, and I just picked one, and that's fluoride and the anti-fluoride thing, and you would just, I mean, you, of all people, would not be amazed at how much criticism one gets for picking an issue and just fighting it.
You are watching the best of the Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.
Highest level it's been in the last 100 years. And there's another article out on that today from Bloomberg. Record U.S. gun production as Obama demonized on the issue, writes the offshore banking cartel operative publication Bloomberg. U.S. gun makers led by Strum Ruger & Co. and Smith & Wesson Holding Group churned out a record number of firearms. Government data showed continuing a trend of robust production during Democrat presidencies. More than 8.57 million guns were produced in 2012. They're always a year behind, up 31%. They trend through the next year. They think it's up even more. And they go on to say, but they didn't produce that much under George W. Bush. Advocates of both sides of gun control debate said manufacturers are meeting demand fueled by concerns among gun owners that Democratic presidents are more willing to limit firearm sales than Republicans. After years of steering clear of the issue, Obama pressed unsuccessfully last year for stricter gun measures in the wake of the 2012 massacre. It's Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut, if you believe any of that. So there you go. Expanding collections. No, gun ownership is going up, and they can't stand it. I run into people all the time. I ran into some last night who were big liberals who lived in San Francisco and heard the show many years ago and woke up and woke up others and said most of the former liberals they knew aren't conservatives now. They're just more libertarians. And that's it. I mean, you just want freedom, and you believe in individual freedom, and you don't follow this orthodoxy of whatever the Republicans or the Democrats say. And all the numbers show that is the real future. Now, they've got the new host of The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, and Michelle Obama, or the late night show, and Michelle Obama was on there calling young people, quote, knuckleheads. And it's all this joke of, you know, we've got knuckleheads out there that have got to be, you know, dealt with because they get at a party and cut their finger and they're dancing around bleeding. You know, these lazy young people, they don't have their health care. And it's always authoritarian blobs that count on the young people to join the military and go be put in a meat grinder, or who they count on going to buy the Obamacare, that, oh, it's a really good deal. Yeah, it's only 5 times what it would have been a few years ago for you to buy it at the age of 18. But they don't know. And it's just an absolute screw job for young people, inducting them, just like they get young people to go buy college, you know, tuition and, you know, go pay for a college degree. In most cases, that's worthless nowadays. It's like you're going to college to learn how to build buggy whips or something right before the automobile's invented. It's just the whole world's changing. The charged politics of late-night TV, Politico reports. That is just some of the news that we're getting to, the changed politics. D.C. is now a safe zone on new Tonight Show. That's right, with Michelle Obama. And here she is talking about the knucklehead moron constituents. At least she didn't go as far as the head of Facebook, Zuckerberg, calling his users, yeah, they trust us. They're a bunch of dumb effers. It's all very funny to him. So let's go ahead and go to Michelle O, here, a.k.a. the Snapping Turtle.
Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, young people can stay on their parents' insurance until they're 26. But once they hit 26, they're on their own. And a lot of young people think they're invincible. But the truth is, young people are knuckleheads, you know? They're the ones who are cooking for the first time and slice their finger open. They're dancing on the bar stool. They're...
Young people, yeah.
I love how 26 now is a dumb young knucklehead cooking for the first time. And I was cooking when I was 4 or 5 years old. And notice they come out now and they go, oh, the new teenager's 25. They had that study 2 weeks ago, or it's 26. And you're just supposed to wear your pajamas and be a trust fund kid and watch your TV shows and your dramas. And this is a whole world in crisis, an incredibly decadent, decaying society with a bunch of hardworking middle class and blue collar folks being squeezed, with a bunch of welfare people and socialists and criminals on one side, and a bunch of rich elites that got rich most of the time off government contracts and insider deals, waging war against any independent money so they can have a monopoly as they destroy the only engine they've got of any productivity. Now, the toll-free number to join us, first-time callers, on solutions, what you're doing to counter the globalist tyranny, and what you think their greatest crimes are, and what your gut tells you about the future of humanity. Now, we've had some great callers here. We were just talking to the caller about fluoride being a crime. It's on record. It lowers IQ 7 to 20 points, depending on what area you live in and how much they put in the water. And at the same time, you've got all these other things being put in the food and water for social control. And that just shows you we're not in Kansas. We're in more of a matrix, dystopic. It's an attempt to bring in a dystopic control grid. That's why there's so much good still, because it's not a total dystopia. They're not in control yet. But they're trying to be God with the panopticonic, total face scanning, surveillance grid, cradle to grave, microchips in the pills you take, surveillance blimps, drones, neighborhood spies, FCC in the print newsrooms, on and on and on. I mean, every form of tyranny on steroids, metastasizing at light year speed. 800-259-9231 is the toll-free number to join us. Now, we're going to take these calls quick. Get ready. D.C. calling from Canada. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Fantastic. So your first point was their greatest crimes. I mean, their lies are just so big. They're so bold. They're so unrepentant and so pervasive. I mean, it's like you always say, it's a scientifically designed system for total control. I have a hard time putting my finger on their biggest crime.
I think it is shuttering human potential and poisoning the food and water supply to create a poison fog of soft kill to control us. I tend to think that last caller was correct. So they could then sell aborting our next generation, and then 2 + 2 = 5, Common Core. I mean, their greatest crime is their mindset to dumb us down ahead of extermination.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that. You also asked, well, what am I doing? Well, I rescinded my consent to be governed by the criminal Canadian government over a decade ago. When we went into Afghanistan, I said, that's it. I'm not giving you any more of my money. I'm not giving you any more of my consent. I'm not giving you any power whatsoever. I live as underground as possible without actually being a hermit in the woods. I don't watch commercial television, and I'm not what they would call a good consumer. My plan for the near future is a sailboat in the Cook Islands. And that kind of ties into your third question, what do we see for the future? Well, I've pretty much lost all hope for the average Joe out there. They're so dumbed and so numbed that I have a hard time mustering the energy to wake people up anymore. I spent 10 years waking people up around me, and I just kind of burnt out. I one-on-one people every once in a while if they seem receptive, but I just can't get out there and do it anymore. I just got so tired and so burnt out, and it just makes me so sad to just bump up against the zombies.
Well, that's why it's fun to run around at night sticking bumper stickers up everywhere, climb up power poles with a baseball bat and beat up cameras. I'm not saying people should do that. I just had a dream where you get really energized when you do that. And I had to wipe the mud off my boots, but from the dream. But the point is that I understand it's very frustrating when you really know what's going on. You know you're right. You've read all their own admissions. You see it, and then people laugh at you. But here's what's going to happen: you're going to have people go to reservations by themselves, their own towns, their own cities, their own areas where people do farm, they do ranch, they do barter, they do value freedom. And you're going to then have such prosperity in those areas. Texas isn't perfect, but it's kind of a microcosm of that compared to California, to where all those that have already zombied and pillaged their area will then come to your area, And there's going to have to be the free association of saying in these new liberty towns that, no, you cannot come here. There is no welfare here. There is no tattletale squads here. There is no gun control here. And they're going to try to then basically use the votes of the larger states and federal government to try to veto us having freedoms. But great call. Bottom line, D.C., how do you see it all ending in your gut?
Well, not well, at least for large portions of North America. I mean, if Texas ever secedes, I will be the first one on the shores swearing my allegiance to your Constitution. I guarantee it.
Well, I hear you. It's quite a vision of the future. I appreciate your call. By the way, I saw this last night, Raw story, basically Democrat operation that likes to take still shots of me ranting to make me look like a crazy person instead of actually looking at what I said. Ran the headline, conspiracy theorist. That means one that does not follow state-run media orthodoxy, one that does not worship Kim Jong-il. What do they call one who does not worship Kim Jong-il in North Korea? A conspiracy theorist heretic. What do they call one that does not worship the superstate in the U.S.? They call them Alex Jones. But conspiracy theorist Alex Jones says immigrants will literally make us their slaves. Now, if you go watch the full video, I quote Thomas Jefferson that 2 wolves on a sheep on voting on what's for dinner is democracy. If you have a pure democracy, 51% of us could vote, say in 1960, to kill every black person in America. And it would then become the law, and you could attempt it, which, of course, would fail. Because big frontal assaults don't succeed like that. It would be more like, we want to help you in your community with some free money. Get the men out of your house, bring in the social workers, take these shots. Go in and get your legs sawed off now that you have diabetes. See, it has to be done lovingly, slowly. But I digress. It's well known by all mainline historians, geopolitical analysts, politicians, statesmen, that pure democracy is the, quote, great howl of democracy, is what the founders called it, because you can get the mob all hyped up by some propagandist, and they can get 51% to claim or have election fraud that we're going to take your property or we're going to chop all your heads off like the French Revolution. In a republic, you have a democracy that's limited where you elect representatives who then have courts that are over them and executive branches that are separated. So there's a separation of power, due process, and you've got to follow the rule of law. And that itself is fraught with peril if you don't have an active, informed population. But in a democracy, 51% will vote themselves the property, the rights and liberties of the other group. And you will have politicians who will promise them that for their votes. I mean, that's a fact. And Raw Story tries to act like that myself and Phyllis Schlafly, constitutional lawyer, were having some hallucination or something. Like we were talking about, the Mad Hatter and the Tea Party or something. Like it was just incoherent gibbering that, man, look at these crazy people. They claim the system, and they quote us, want to bring in a huge new voting bloc who will then vote to bring in total socialism to transfer wealth to themselves. Have you ever heard of something that crazy? That's like saying that if you stuck your hand in a blender and turned it on, you'd get cut. I mean, let me tell you, the only thing crazier was Ted Cruz, who did that filibuster for 28 hours or whatever, who said Obamacare would raise premiums and was a giant screw job written by offshore insurance companies and would absolutely wreck the whole healthcare system. I mean, exactly what he said happened. Man, is he a kook? And that's the only tactic they've got is, here's a funny picture, Alex. And man, doesn't this sound weird? He said that under the Democrat plan of open borders and democracy, bringing in voting blocs who will vote so that they get welfare and handouts for a political payoff. I mean, that's what happened in ancient Rome under Julius Caesar. But they can point at me because I'm just somewhat informed. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that and go, he says the illegals are going to make him their slave. No, I said the political class is going to bring in unlimited people to vote to carry out the absolute will of the globalist that is to bankrupt this country, and they're going to do it for chicken feed handouts. And that's the story of the world. Story of France, story of England, story of ancient Rome, story of Italy today. And ladies and gentlemen, it's happening right now. They don't give illegals in Mexico any benefits. They put you for 6 months to a year in a forced labor camp, literally cutting highways with a yo-yo, those things you swing, to cut the grass, or busting rocks. Look it up. New York Times admitted it. I think the headline was like, Mexico has a bad immigration past as well. Like, we have the most wide open. It's like America's like a prostitute that has sex with 200 guys a day, you know, to liken, like if having an open border is like being a whore. America is the biggest whore on the planet, having sex with 200 guys a day lined up around the block. Mexico doesn't have sex with one person a year. Mexico has a chastity belt on, like Fort Knox, with 500 battleships with cannons aimed in all directions, okay? You know what a chastity belt is in the Middle Ages? Actually, we'd have women wear these big, giant, I've actually seen them in museums. They're disgusting. It's got like a port out the back and everything. Talk about a way to get in disease. And your husband would leave. Humans were such animals back then and so full of hormones and natural zest that when you left home, you'd have to put your wife in a big armored corset, chastity belt. And so again, America is literally like a Costco of whoremongering, if you wanted to liken that to open borders. And Mexico is a virgin. A virgin. And they sit and go, you let us in and give us everything free. Why did Mexico let people in? Because they're not stupid. Mexico's got a lot of problems, but at least they're nationalistic. Private Joker's silly and he's ignorant, but he's got guts, and guts is enough. Listen, I might be able to get into Switzerland if I wanted to, okay? But I'm not evacuating the United States. But, I mean, it's expensive and it's hard. The average person probably couldn't get in there. I could barely get in there. The point is that their money goes up in value, not down in value. The place looks like Valhalla or something, like heaven. Elysium meets Valhalla in the Guru Damarang. Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty. This woman was wearing earbuds and didn't hear him say stop. Kind of like the Chinese guy in New York that didn't speak English when they said stop, or all the deaf guys that are getting tasered, beat, killed, you name it. And so even though they could see she was wearing earbuds, you can tell when you talk to somebody they don't hear you, they're wearing earbuds. They grab her, shove her down to the ground, arrest her. And they didn't used to do this in the past. It's this, you follow our orders or get hurt. I got the Austin police chief in here next Wednesday. I'm going to ask him about his comments. I heard him on the radio a few months ago literally say, doesn't matter if the order's lawful or not, do what you're told and you won't get hurt. Well, we've got all these court rulings and state rulings and federal rulings that's not the case. And again, it's just this attitude of government that it's God. That's not what you have in a free society. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor de Blasio and his security detail crossed a Brooklyn street against the light Friday on his way to his morning workout just a day after his SUV blew through 2 stop signs and was speeding in Queens. And he's passed all these new laws that basically throw you in jail if you jaywalk, but he's above the law because he's a socialist dirtbag. There you go. There you go. Meanwhile, foreign banks can steal all they want and nobody gets in trouble. are. Tom in Tennessee, you're on the air. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, brother.
I would say one of the biggest things that's happened to us is the conspiracy of the 13th Amendment that disappeared in the Civil War, and then after that, the 14th Amendment of the Holy Roman Empire. Yeah, and also I have a idea of these illegals coming up here. I don't know if it's really so much about them voting Democrat or them being Catholic. What's your take on that?
A lot of people get obsessed with Protestant, Catholic, and that's why we can't ever get together around liberty and defeat the New World Order, because everybody obsesses over whether you're black or white or Catholic or Christian, Protestant or agnostic. I mean, I just don't get into it. I mean, the Democrats want the illegals here because they'll vote to take the guns, and they will drive down wages. The big corporations want that. That's why the Republicans are for it. So that's why they say that that's their plan. I have seen there's a lot of leftist elements in the Catholic Church in Mexico, that's true, that are anti-gun and stuff. And how could you be anti-gun for the general population down there that's had all their guns taken, being oppressed by the Mexican government? But there are some Catholic countries where they're pro-gun. So I just really, you know, it's an opiate of the masses to get into. The Vatican runs it. Israel runs it. The Masons run it. Let me tell you who runs the New World Order: corruption. It's a philosophy. And I'm just trying to sell the philosophy of liberty and the philosophy of family and private property and pro-life. And I'm trying to be a unifier, not a divider. But, I mean, go ahead. I mean, you think it's a plan? I know the Seventh-day Adventists have said that a lot, to open the borders up to turn the U.S. into a Catholic country?
Not necessarily just that. I mean, I know the 14th Amendment is the Holy Roman 14th Amendment, and what did happen to the 13th Amendment of the Civil War? Well, nobody ever talks about it. It just disappeared.
Well, what do you think happened? Go ahead.
I really don't know. I've studied into it somewhat, but... what
do you mean the 14th Amendment of the Holy Roman Empire?
I think the 14th Amendment is something set up by the Rome, just the Jesuits.
Well,
that's what a lot of people call it.
Sure, I appreciate your call. You know, one reason I kind of have a jaundiced side towards all this Jesuit talk is that I've been brought up a Protestant, and I don't really have any Catholics in my family, but I have a lot of friends that are Catholics. I think they're really nice people on average, and they're out there doing a lot of good stuff. My issue is I'm always accused of being some type of, you know, Catholic agent or a Vatican assassin. We make that joke, all because there was a black guy named Alex Jones, who's like 65 years old, who is a Catholic. And I got an email like 10 years ago saying, you will expose this, Alex, and the books you've written as a Catholic, or I'm going to expose you. I sent an email back saying, that's not me. Well, you're going to have me on your show or I'm going to expose you. Well, that's not how I have people on my show when they call up and say, you're a Catholic. You're going to have me on your show to expose the Catholics. I don't. And so I just, you know, the people that attribute Jews running everything say I'm Jewish. Well, I'm not Jewish, folks. And the people that attribute everything to the Catholics saying I'm a Catholic, and, you know, they Photoshop my head on a Catholic priest and all this. Just whatever, man. I just don't have time for it.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.